Michael Altman was the central figure of the Church of Unitology, credited as the man who first revealed the proof of alien life to mankind, the black marker. He was believed by Unitologists to have been assassinated by the Earth government to suppress the knowledge of the marker. The government, however, preferred the story that Altman's death was accidental, and that he was no more than a hoaxer. Much of the details about the scientists behind the marker were shrouded by Unitology myth. The real Allman was a scientist, a 23rd century geophysicist who did make history when he publicly revealed footage of the black marker at a press conference in the North American sector. These events were always twisted and blown out of proportion in Unitologist accounts, as the Church portrayed this as Altman professing divine knowledge to millions and establishing a global religious movement. Little was known about Altman's early life. At some point he became an anthropologist geophysicist in the book and soon moved to the Chicxulub crater with his girlfriend Ada. He also had a varied ancestry, with his own mother being a Native American, although he did not know which tribe she hailed from. His true appearance was described in the novel Dead Space Martyr as being in his early 30s, having dark hair that was graying on the sides of his temples and having bluish-green eyes. His appearance in Unitologist depictions are of course falsified, along with much of the rest of his life, the obvious being he was not balding and was not as old as depicted. This is because of the military operation that covertly runs Unitology. They choose this appearance for him in order for the believers to view him more as a wise, seasoned individual, so that people would be better manipulated through the details of his apparent martyrdom. Altman's hasty expulsion from the project is unfortunate. His notes on the black marker appear incomplete and our findings thus far have been inconclusive. What notes we have recovered appear to be written in the code of his devising. It will be weeks before we can decipher them. During his normal work at the Chicxulub crater, Altman had begun to suffer from regular nightmares and headaches for weeks before his initial finding. During a routine scan, he detected a strange gravitational anomaly in the heart of the crater that soon began to emit a powerful signal. Attempting to share this knowledge with the public, he was eventually contacted by an individual from Dredger Corp., a covert government company who often moved into areas illegally to continue business. After the contact mysteriously died, Allman later managed to find video evidence of a Dredger Corp attempt to access to the signal and examine it. Both the men involved in the dive were killed after one of them was rendered insane. Intrigued, Allman tried to blow the whistle on the failed attempt to find the source of the signal, against the will of Ada. He was promptly taken into custody by government officials working for Dredger Corp. Impressed with his skills in finding out about their operation, Allman was given a choice to help them find the signal revealed to be coming from an artifact, or be killed to remain silent. He agreed with staying alive. Allman was brought aboard a covert floating science station along with work colleagues and Ada. He soon befriended a submarine pilot named Hendricks and was ordered to make a dive to retrieve the artifact. Beginning to suffer from the same madness as the previous attempt crew, Hendricks attacked him and Allman was forced to subdue him. Strangely, Allman was unaffected at all by the artifact except for a hallucination of Ada's mother, who finally told him what the artifact truly was, the black marker. After repeated dives, the marker was eventually brought on board the station alongside a sample of strange, fleshy tissue Allman found in the water. Because of his ability to be in close proximity to the marker without the adverse side effects of his colleagues, those influenced by the marker who had come to worship it as a deity began to hail Allman as an unwilling prophet. Despite this attention, Allman noticed how the station's crew had begun to split into believers and non-believers, and that violence and murders had begun to escalate. Realizing the power of the marker and with the belief that the government was planning on utilizing it as a dangerous and deadly weapon, Allman escaped from the ocean facility and made an announcement about the marker in Washington, D.C. Allman was soon recaptured and bore witness to a sudden necromorph infection brought about by an insane scientist injecting himself with a tissue sample found with the marker. The outbreak destroyed the facility and killed all of the staff. Allman managed to escape with the help of work colleagues, all of whom were eventually killed by the creatures. Hoping to find the missing Ada and escape, Allman returned to the shores near Chicxulub but realized that he could stop the marker. Fighting his way back inside the facility, he replicated the marker's genetic code and signaled in an attempt to calm it. Eventually, it worked and Altman destroyed the entire facility to ensure that the marker would not be found again. Markov and Stevens, two high-ranking men in the EarthGov military overseeing the project, captured Altman and killed him, using his martyrdom to found the Church of Unitology, the faith that Altman unwittingly became the Messiah of, and which both Markov and Stevens came to believe due to the marker's influence. The men copied the code Altman had used to calm the marker and planned to use it as a blueprint to create a second marker. The two men murdered Altman by placing him into a sealed area with a spoon and a necromorph made of 3 corpses, including that of Krax, who had been one of Markov's soldiers. Someone has to shut him up. His public outcry about the marker is more than a nuisance. This is a matter of security. After Altman's death, the government began to twist the truth about his fate to the version that the universe would come to know. Allman was apparently assassinated by the Earth government after spreading the word of the black marker and of Unitology whilst working with the research team studying it. Since then, Unitologists worshipped him as a martyr figure for their faith and interpreted the black marker to be a sign from God.